Growing up with a growing understanding speech pathology. Conversations about children's development that will support you through your parenting journey.
Hi, I'm Lauren from A Growing Understanding, and welcome to the Growing Up podcast. This is where we have real and practical conversations about children's communication and feeding development, helping parents to feel supported, informed, and empowered. Each episode, I'll sit down with one of our amazing team members to share insights, answer some common questions, and give you some useful strategies that you can take into everyday life. So whether you're wondering if your child may need some support or looking for some tips to help their progress, or perhaps you might like to better understand their journey, this podcast is here to help. If this sounds like it may be helpful, make sure to follow along and let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Growing Up with a Growing Understanding. And I'm once again joined by the lovely Paige. Hi, Paige.
Hello. Thank you for having me again.
Lovely to chat with you as always. And as always, we want to break the ice a little bit to get started. So I've got some new questions for you. My first one that I think is always important for people to know is, what do you order at a cafe? So what's your coffee order?
It's usually a soy latte or an iced soy latte, depending on the weather. I sort of go cold or hot.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same. Yeah, well, I don't drink coffee. And so, yeah, mine is usually a chai latte. But I do like an iced chai if the weather
haven't had an iced chai yet.
Yeah,
I love a hot iced chai, hot chai latte.
Hot chai latte, a normal chai latte.
A normal one, but no, I haven't tried a nice one before.
It is good. Iced chai is very good. My next question for you is, what is your favourite movie?
It's been the same for so long. I love Bridesmaids. It's a classic.
I love Bridesmaids too. So many references there, right?
So many. My dad's name is Steve, and for a period his name was Stove in my phone, if you know that reference.
I do know that reference. I love that. I was trying to think about some of the other plane references and things as well.
Oh, it's so good.
Love. And more speech pathology related, because that's what this podcast is all about, is not only getting to know you, but also getting to know you as a speech pathologist. I would love to know what your interest area is at the moment. What's something that you're really passionate about or that you are curious about? What's really getting you excited at the moment?
I have a few interest areas at the moment, but one that has piqued my interest the most, and I've sort of gone to seek out some more professional development on it, is Gestalt language processing, which is just a different way of processing language compared to the typical sort of development. It's super interesting to me.
Yeah, fabulous. And there's lots of emerging information around DLP, and I never know how to pronounce that, whether it's Gestalt. I think it depends on which part of the world you're in.
Yeah.
Lots of emerging information in that space.
Definitely.
Today, I wanted to explore the idea and the concept with you about a new graduate speech pathologist versus experienced speech pathologist. I think what I love about your journey is that you started with a growing understanding as a new graduate speech pathologist, but you've been working with us for a number of years now. And I know that this is something that you, as well as GLP, it's something that you're really passionate and interested about. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why this piqued your interest as a topic of conversation for the podcast?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main reason was because I did start here as a new graduate with a growing understanding through our Graduate and Grow program. I initially wanted to apply here just mainly for the culture and the support. So with the first year as a new graduate, you receive so much support, weekly supervision with an experienced clinician. And I found with this support, I was able to take on a variety of different clients and some clients that I didn't have experience with, but I felt comfortable doing that with with the support. And then I found new passion areas like Gestalt language processing, because we've had support along the way by a few team members. I am currently, so I started here as a new grad, and I've now been here for a few years, as you said, but I am dipping my toes into practice education. So this month, having some fourth year students do their clinical placements here. So I'm really excited about that. I have a really big passion for supervising and supporting less experienced clinicians, or those that, haven't even graduated yet. But I'm also really liking just providing that like informal supervision with my colleagues and just chatting about things. So not anything formal, but I love problem solving with some of the team. But yeah, it's amazing. So that's a bit of my journey so far with a growing understanding.
Thanks for sharing, Paige. So I think just to go back to your initial journey with a growing understanding, I think that's something I wanted to touch on with you, that you said that you sought out a growing understanding as a place to work because of the amount of support that you received. So it was about the culture that we had, but it was the Graduate and Grow program and the support that was involved. And I think that's a really important distinction for our families to understand and know, that our new graduates and new graduate positions generally are not created equal. And I think that there is a perception out there that new graduate clinicians are new, and they are, but there's a lot of benefits to certain new graduate positions and having access to new clinicians. You mentioned the support that new graduate clinicians at a growing understanding receive. Do you want to talk a little bit, before we dip our toe into talking about what you're doing coming up and the experience and the journey that you've had? Can you share with families about the sort of, what does that support look like as part of the Graduate and Grow program? So exploring about what that was like for you as a new graduate and what families can then expect of their clinicians.
Yeah, it's throwing me back a few years now, but I'll have to check my memory. I had access to one-on-one supervision weekly, which is quite rare to have that frequent. The team members were always available for any questions that you had in the moment. If something, you'd have some of your sessions initially sort of written out and run over by your lead, so they'll approve of that, and it just gives you some reassurance as a new graduate, like, oh, okay, like I've got this, because you have a lot of that imposter syndrome at the beginning, but actually knowing like, oh, okay, that plan is perfect. Like, obviously things don't go to plan in every session.
And it's also the reassurance for families too, that there are more sets of eyes on their child, in terms of, when a new graduate clinician is seeing their child, that plan has already been, also overseen by a clinical lead, probably their peers, probably the mentors that are involved as well. We discussed it. That there's more eyes on that plan and of that child than might appear.
Yeah, and I think as a new graduate, you do a lot more. Like as a more experienced clinician now, our reflecting after sessions is more automatic and quite quick to reflect and think about what went well, what didn't, what can we change for next time. But it is a very active process as a new grad, and we do it all through placements. So we're very used to doing it. But just to know, your speech pathologist, if they're a new graduate, they're thinking about that session afterwards as well. And they're thinking, oh, what could I do next time? We're always thinking about how we can improve it. So there's a lot of thought that goes into all of the activities and goals and things like that.
Yeah. And I think the other part of that, as well as you mentioned, so there's the planning and the reflections that goes into it. Our Graduate and Grow program also has a great deal of professional development, even before the speech pathologists start with us, that we upskill them in a range of different professional learning opportunities before they start with us, and then ongoing. So as well as our weekly peer mentoring and learning opportunities, they also undertake external professional development and coursework in areas that are a little bit more niche. And that can be something that can really be applied to a range of different clients and caseload and things as well.
Yeah, definitely. They were really helpful. I remember, I think the first one before I actually started was the early language, Hannon, It Takes Two to Talk, which sets an amazing foundation for not just early language therapy, but lots of other children as well. And yeah, Litcom I did as well for stuttering sort of in my early days as well.
Yeah, all of that can be really helpful. And I think that there are, and as we start to venture into now what it's like for families to be able to see an experienced clinician, if we can touch on for a minute some of the benefits of seeing a new graduate clinician. One of the things that I always find with new clinicians coming through is that they have such a good grasp of the latest evidence because that's what that is so fresh in their mind from their university studies. So they've got now a really good understanding of real world application from their clinical leads and from the mentors, but they've got such a good understanding of the latest best practice, which I'm always learning from our newer clinicians about what they're bringing to and sharing with our team.
Yeah, definitely. And I find they're often able to sort of pick up on new techniques and therapy approaches quite quickly because they're still in that like learning stage of the development. So they can adapt to that a bit easier as well.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I find that I'm envious of now that I'm aged and I'm considered an old speech pathologist, that the one thing that I'm always very inspired by is the energy and freshness that comes with our newer clinicians. I think
that's not what I was going to touch on. I was going to talk about tech savviness, but
tech savviness, fine. You can talk about that. I would say that I'm not too bad on that.
You
do show me a few things, even though you're not new anymore. You do still teach me some tech skills. You can touch on that. I was going to say the energy levels that they can get down on the floor a lot better than what I can. And now I'm really sounding old, but but there is that freshness and energy and an exuberance for the profession, which I'm always inspired by, as well as the tech savviness. Sure. Yeah.
They definitely give a positive energy to the team, and I think they do go above and beyond for families as well. They have that passion. Not that experienced clinicians don't, but they just have lots of that energy. But yeah, I find the new graduates are usually quite tech savvy, like up to date on that sort of stuff. And with them being pretty tech savvy, I find they're quicker to sort of create resources for families and things like that, which is another service, we provide all the time.
Yeah. Should families be concerned if they are offered an appointment with a new graduate in a growing understanding? I won't say new graduates generally, but our new graduates have been
definitely.
Our new grads are handpicked too. Like we were able to really carefully choose which clinicians we wanted to have join our team. Should parents be worried about being allocated a new graduate clinician at a growing understanding?
Definitely not. The new graduates, they have had experience. They've done lots of placements and things like that. So, don't think that they're the first child that they're coming across. But at a growing understanding with the amount of support that they have, like if I had a child, which I don't yet, if I had a child and they needed to go to speech therapy and I didn't want to do it, I would feel comfortable sending my child to see a new graduate here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I genuinely feel the same way, that people ask me, friends and colleagues and people that, ask me about who they should see at a growing understanding. I do have full confidence that they could see any of our clinicians, regardless of years of experience, and to be assured that they'll receive a really high quality service, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're now feeling, you've got some years under your belt and you're starting to go into now providing support to junior clinicians and, as you said, to students, on their placement. What's that journey been like in terms of how has that supported your own individual skill development as well? What have you learned in that process?
Yeah, it's been super interesting. I haven't had the students yet, but I'm sure it will test me on other areas as well and help my skills develop in different areas.
You've taken students for observations though, and you've had student support for their volunteer hours as part of participation in groups, and you work closely with our speech pathology assistants who are speech pathology students as well. So it's not just about the placements; it's also about all of the other support that you provide to junior clinicians and to peers as well. So don't sell yourself short, Paige.
Yes, that's true. No, I don't even know. I just naturally sort of fell into enjoying providing that supervision and support with more early career or new graduate speech pathologists, especially in those areas that I am quite passionate about. I do have experience in a lot of the areas, but get me talking about a passion area and you'll have me for a few hours and I'll sit down with you. And I just love seeing that skill development in other clinicians as well.
I found from my own experience when I had been working for a few years and when I started mentoring and providing supervision to other clinicians, and then when I started working within a student unit for the university, I felt like there was just this big upwards movement of my knowledge and skills. And for me, it's that idea that you could know and understand something and be able to do it yourself. But as soon as you teach somebody else, or when, as you said, when you're something that you're passionate about and you can talk a lot about that particular topic, that act of teaching and sharing that information with others can be really powerful and can be a really valuable way for yourself personally to be able to grow your skills and things as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what else comes from these, the clinical placements coming up. But I'm also very grateful that A Growing Understanding has had those pathways for me to explore that when it's come up. Yeah, I think naturally for me.
It's important, and you and I talk about it quite a lot. We've had lots of conversations, even over recent months, that's something that is really important to me as a business owner, but also as a fellow speech pathologist too, is I want to be able to create those pathways that align with your interests and your desire statements, not only to grow your skills professionally, but also personally to be able to ensure that you're fulfilled and having the impact that you're really wanting as well. Definitely. So I think that's something that's important, something that I always want to make sure that I maintain within our workplace. But I think it's to the benefit of our team, to individuals within the team, but it's also a huge benefit to our families too. It ensures that our team stay for the long term because there are those opportunities there, but it also means that we benefit from the learnings that are being undertaken with these career progressions and pathways too. So I'm super excited to see what's going to happen for you in this space, because I think, as you said, you're excited about it, but I think that you naturally lean into that teaching, mentoring kind of role, and and you're well suited to that. So I'm excited. For what that's going to look like.
It has also helped me. I'm not always the best at formulating sentences about things, so it has got me sort of practicing how I would explain this to students or to less experienced clinicians. I'm used to explaining things to parents, but also sort of considering their level of knowledge on things as well and taking that on board.
Love that. I don't know that we'd spoken about it, you and I, on the podcast. I know it came up in previous episodes with some of the other team members, but we know we've got our resource about, how parents can choose a speech pathology service for their child and how to choose a speech pathologist. But what should parents consider when they are choosing a speech pathologist for their child? In terms of this consideration of a new graduate clinician or a less experienced clinician versus an experienced speech pathologist, what advice would you have for families in that space?
As I said before, I would not be worried about my child seeing anyone on the team. So sometimes it's hard to differentiate. But we do have, on our website, we do have interest areas and experience areas listed on each of our team members' profiles. Also just considering the different service delivery models. So are you wanting online? Because I see families rurally online. So that's something we're able to offer if you're wanting in person or school visits or something like that. And also whether the practice in general is just uses a family-centered approach.
Yeah, I think that they're really important considerations too. Yeah, like that online space. And family-centered. It's important to have those elements as part of that service delivery too. We said from the outset we don't want this to feel like a sales pitch for a growing understanding at all. It is just about sharing information that's going to be helpful for families. But I guess it's that reassurance that that they are in good hands with a new graduate clinician who is supported and nurtured, and that their child is also going to have lots of different eyes on them. Yeah. We're
it
really
isn't just the new graduate that's seeing them. Essentially, there's lots behind the door that they don't see, and the planning and the talking with their leads and supervisors and things like that. So there's lots that goes into it.
Yeah. Love that. Any final thoughts, Paige? Always really lovely to hear about your journey with a growing understanding. As a final kind of point, what's been your biggest highlight with a growing understanding so far? That's a question that we haven't really covered, or something that you might not have considered, but what's something that you have, what would you say has been a highlight with your journey from new graduate to now being a few years out and having some experience?
Oh, my biggest highlight, there's a few. I think that it would just have to come back to the team itself. Our team is really quite close. We have a very strong team, but it's not a strong team that's intimidating to outsiders either. So I think that's something that sets us apart, is we're strong, but we welcome people in with open arms, and that means families as well. I had a family come in, I think it was last week or recently, and they come in and they've bought me a coffee, which they didn't have to, but they go, we're pretty much family anyway. That's just how we are. And I think, just coming back to, I think the team has been the most, the biggest highlight, and actually forming some really genuine friendships outside of work also.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite things as well. And I think touching on that in terms of the family, saying, that it feels like family. What's really nice is that, and what we were saying about not just one person seeing your child, often is the case that multiple clinicians may have seen your child and provided support where it's needed, and pulling in all of those different expertise and
we lean on each other
where needed. So we have a lot of crossover amongst the team, which is really helpful for when clinicians are going on holidays, or if they're unwell one week, or it's also at the point of need for families too. So
and we know, and the new graduates know when to ask for more support, or they know what to do like feeding isn't an area of interest for me, but I know what to do and who to go to for that support. So even as a more experienced clinician now, and same with speech use that have been here since we started, like we all just know where to go if we're needing support. And at some stage we all do.
Yeah. And regardless of years of experience, there are going to be times where we're going to need some support. So it's nice to be able to pull from that wider team of experience. Paige, thanks so much for your time again. Always lovely to chat to you, and really value all of your insights about that journey from new graduate to experienced clinician. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Growing Up with a Growing Understanding Speech Pathology. We love helping families navigate their parenting concerns and ensuring your child can grow and achieve. Please rate and review wherever you're listening so we can continue to grow together.